Hi, what's up? Welcome back to Tabletop Nights. I'm Greg, and today we're taking a look at a new little game from Matthew Aisthorpe and Gary Morton from Brain in a Vat Games. It's Chrono Team Go. No, it's not Sushi Go with a stopwatch. It's an interesting little game where you're going to dive into the rift, try and survive, find some relics, and get out. I'll just let you know that this is a promotional copy. It's not the final artwork or style. But it's pretty close. You'll see it has 4 sets of components. You got yellow, blue, green, and red. They use meeples and little power cubes. We've got some hero cards. We have rift cards. We have reward and risk cards. There's also chrono tiles, which are in the 4 different colors, and void tiles, which are these darker ones. And of those, 2 of the 12 are these rift tiles here. One will be your starting position, and one will be where you're trying to escape to by the end of the game. But you have to find at least 3 relics before you can get out. You'll see on each of these tiles, they have these various little half gate symbols, and you'll be connecting them as you go, and then leaping through from one to the next. But they have a few different meanings. The first type of gate is a stable gate, which will have at least 2 of these little symbols there. You also have hostile gates, and they'll have this blade sort of symbol there. But if you combine it with the stable one, you can neutralize that gate, so it's not as risky to run through. If you ever have sort of one of these neutral gates and a hostile gate like that, then you'll have to draw a risk card, just one. But if you ever end up with 2, this is a really hostile, dangerous place. You'll have to draw 2 risk cards. If you ever get 2 of the stable gates together, that becomes a charged gate, and you get to draw a reward card. So at the start of the game, depending on the number of players, you'll put away that many of each player's cards. So in this example of a 3-player game, we'll lose 3 red, 3 green, and 3 blue before we even start the game. You'll place a power cube marker on the 10 of each hero, and these heroes are double-sided. There's sort of a male and a female, and on the back they'll have different special tuned abilities, but we'll talk about that more in a bit. We will be starting at this rift gate, and this one will be mixed into the other chrono tiles and void tiles, and we have to find that one along with 3 relics along the way, and relics again are found by getting the reward cards for the charged gates. All our meeples will start in the middle, and we'll be choosing and placing tiles here and moving to them individually. I'm not using the yellow player here, so we'll just pop those ones off the table. So that we don't know where the final rift card is, we'll shuffle these remaining cards, put about 10 face down, then shuffle the rift card in, because we don't want the rift card to be the absolutely last card, because that can make it difficult to win. And then after some shuffling, we'll add that on top of the deck, and then each player will get 3 cards. There are a few different actions you can take on your turn. First is the swap action, where you can actually optionally swap with someone else around the table, maybe looking for a card that best suits you. This is optional for both players, so if someone doesn't want to swap, but it is a cooperative game, we are trying to succeed this game together. So usually that won't be a problem. In this case, I don't have any blue cards, and that's not a problem necessarily, but if I play a blue card, that means I'm now tuned with that part of the rift, and I can use my special ability. This will help you throughout the game to get the best cards and outcomes that you need. As this is a cooperative game, all the information is open, so you can actually splay your cards out on the table if you wish. In this case, let's say I want to swap one of these void tiles with one of these blue tiles. Now I can have my turn. If I play this tile like this, I'll be moving through here, through this gate onto here. But because of this symbol here, I'll have to draw 1 risk card. They're bad. If I do this, nothing happens because there's nothing to neutralize with this stable card here. So for the moment, I'm just going to do that, and then I can leap through that little gate there with no outcome. No negative, no positive, just neutral. So that's my turn, and now I draw back up. Now, but because I'm tuned, I'm the blue player, I can look at my special ability here and see if there's something there that can help me as well. For Katsu Scion, it says when tuned, you may discard one zone tile or place it at the bottom of the zone deck. So before I actually end my turn and draw a card, I could say, get rid of this burn card, because these are points here that we're going to have to worry about at the very end of the game, but I will explain that in a moment. So it says I can discard it or place it at the bottom of the deck. Well, I'd rather discard it because it's actually a negative card, so it's out of the game. I'll now draw 2 cards, so I always have 3 in my hand. Now it's over to the green player. Well, again, they have 2 green cards here, so that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Now, obviously, they'll be moving from this tile, so again, it's fairly neutral. So there's no point trying to neutralize it because it's already going to... I could potentially make it worse by doing this. Neutral, and still neutral, because this only neutralizes hostile gates. I could play this card, which means I'll actually come into a dead end, which will lead us to a snap move later on, but let's try that anyway now. Because I moved through to this symbol, this is a charged gate, so I now get to draw a reward card. In this case, this is restoring power if I lose any later on. Let's take a quick look at the hero cards in a bit more detail. You'll see on the green hero card, we start with 10 power, and then we move down. But we want to try and survive the game with lots of power. Why? Because at the end of the game, any burn cards that are in my hand will be deducted from this total. And if I hit 0, I've lost, which means the whole team loses, and we don't want that. So keeping your power reserves up is always a good thing. So for now, I've gone here, I've drawn a reward card, and now green draws back to 3 cards. Now it's the red player's turn. So the red player doesn't have many good cards here, in fact, but they don't want to be stuck with these. And remember, we're still trying to find 3 relics in the reward deck and not have too many burn cards in our hand at the end of the game, assuming our power gets low. And it can, because this game can take a while for you to zip around. Also, you can only ever play tiles legally. Let's take a quick look at that. Assuming this was the game state now, and I wanted to play this card, I could play it like that, but I can't play it like that. Or that, because you can't have any half gates. They must always be complete. Let's now move on to the snap move. Snap move is usually optional, meaning you can basically jump to anywhere where there's an open or available gate that you can build onto. But from our first turn as a green player, we've actually moved into a dead end, so we'll have to do a snap move. So in this case, the green player could move to this tile, or this tile. It can't come here because there's no open gates. They've already been formed. So looking at their hand, they might decide to do this, which means they can leap all the way to here. They'll get to draw a reward card, one of these, but whenever you do a snap move, you must draw and resolve a risk card. In this case, we've met a foe. This foe says, keep this card, you may not swap zones while Gazer is in play. Discard Gazer if your hero receives 2 or more shock damage. Shock damage also comes from the risk deck. So in this case, this card will stay in play, and it means I can't do the swap action as the green player until I've got rid of this foe. So he hangs around making a pain of himself. So the game will progress like this between players, circling around the table, always trying to find new openings. If you ever can't find an opening, the team has failed and you're stuck in the rift forever. Once we find the final rift card, it will come into play. For example, here, everyone will instantly move there, meaning you have to draw and resolve more risk cards. And then we go to the end game sequence. At the end game, when we're all on the final rift card, we can check how many burn cards we have and we will deduct those numbers from our hero power. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 0 here, and another 4 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thankfully, we still have at least 1 power each, otherwise we would have died in the rift. Well, no one dies in this game. You just try again. Shuffle them up and have another go. So that's how you play Chrono Team Go. Let's now have a quick chat about what I think about the game. So Chrono Team Go from Brain in a Vat Games is pretty light. It has some definite strategy there, and it is a family weight game. The artwork is terrific. Again, this is not the final copy. This is just the working prototype. It sort of has a manga style game, which is very popular these days. Just ask the people who play One Piece and watch Berserk and all those other things. The tiles are clear and easy to understand. The forming of the gates is fun and it's quite puzzly. You can play it 1 to 4 players. You can play it with just 1 hero, or you can have 2 heroes each. You can spread them around how you like, really. I don't think it really matters, but obviously the more heroes, the more options you have and the more cards you get to choose from using the swap action. For a prototype copy, this is pretty good. All the cards have a nice linen finish. They're reasonably sturdy. I don't think they're going to wear too badly with a number of players. For colourblind folks, there are symbols in the corner, so you can actually tell which is your set of cards. The artwork and design is really nice and clean. It's very straightforward. I would like to see some sort of AI element running around, potentially in the Rift, that can cause some grief. The faux cards add an interesting element. There's always the risk of these shock cards, which reduce your power by 1 or 2 points. And you can get down to some very tight finishes. The reward cards essentially reverse the effects of the shock cards, but there are the 3 relics that you must find, and they'll help you again on your journey, and they all have slightly different powers. The symbology on the tiles is very straightforward, and after 3 turns, you'll remember exactly what they all mean. There's really only 5 different icons in the whole game. The rulebook is a work in progress, so I can't show you that at the moment. But I found the overall experience enjoyable, good for family weight games. Hardcore strategy gamers might think of games like Dracon and others where it's a bit more complex and a lot more to do. But this certainly fills the spot. Although with a couple more tweaks, I think it could be even more strategic. The box says this is for 1 to 4 players aged 14 and up. A 7-year-old could easily be playing this game. There's nothing dark or overly thematic about it, as long as there's an adult there to explain maybe some of the rules on the hero cards or the risk cards as they come up. Very straightforward. So I would say, I'd probably mark this as an 8 to 10 plus, because it's pretty easy to understand. So that's Chrono Team Go. I'm Greg, this is Tabletop Nights. I hope to see you again very soon. See you later.